Hey, how you doing? Let's have a conversation about how the flow of information impacts an organization's operation. Please join me on this journey of knowledge dissemination. Enjoy the video. Monkey see, monkey do. It's a playful sounding idiom, one that people of all ages can understand and appreciate. But the underlying premise of such a simple statement is not so innocent. When people do things merely because others are doing it, unintended consequences can occur. How so? Groupthink. Let's review 3 examples. January 28, 1986. Space Shuttle Challenger explosion. In the months that followed the accident, a presidential commission led by former Secretary of State William P. Rogers reviewed the issue. The commission determined that, quote, the decision to launch the Challenger was flawed. Those who made that decision were unaware of the recent history of problems concerning the O-rings in the joint and were unaware of the initial written recommendation of the contractor advising against the launch at temperatures below 53 degrees Fahrenheit, and the continuing opposition of the engineers at Thiokol after the management reversed its position. They did not have a clear understanding of Rockwell's concern that it was not safe to launch because of ice on the pad. If the decision makers had known all of the facts, it is highly unlikely that they would have decided to launch 51L on January 28, 1986. March 19, 2003 through December 15, 2011. Iraq War. The 2004 report on the Select Committee on Intelligence on the U.S. Intelligence Committee's pre-war intelligence assessments on Iraq found that, quote, Conclusion 3. The intelligence community suffered from a collective presumption that Iraq had an active and growing weapons of mass destruction program. The groupthink dynamic led intelligence community analysts, collectors, and managers to both interpret ambiguous evidence as conclusively indicative of a WMD program, as well as ignore or minimize evidence that Iraq did not have active and expanding weapons of mass destruction programs. This presumption was so strong that formalized IC mechanisms established to challenge assumptions and groupthink were not utilized. October 29, 2018, Lion Air Flight 610, and March 10, 2019, Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. Boeing 737 MAX crashes. The House Committee on Transportation and Infrastructure released a report in September 2020 regarding the 2 tragedies. Their findings concluded that, quote, Boeing has gone from being a great engineering company to being a big business focused on financial success. Continuing on the same path it followed with the 737 MAX, where safety was sacrificed to production pressures, exposes the company to potentially repeating those mistakes and to additional reputational damage and financial losses. One of the first steps on a new path is understanding and acknowledging the problems that did occur, the technical mistakes that were made, and the management missteps that led to the 737 MAX tragedies and the preventable death of 346 people. To be sure, each of these situations is complex. Nevertheless, groupthink is widely believed to have been a large factor in each of them. When an organization stifles the free flow of ideas, differences in opinion, or is outright hostile to anything that challenges inconvenient truths, the consequences can quite literally be deadly. But even without the mortality component, groupthink is counterproductive. Irving Janis was a research psychologist who pioneered the initial research into groupthink theory. Janis defined groupthink as a mode of thinking that people engage in when they are deeply involved in a cohesive in-group when the members striving for unanimity, overriding their motivation to realistically appraise alternative courses of action. In his 1972 publication, Victims of Groupthink, Janis identified 8 symptoms. Invulnerability. An illusion of invulnerability shared by most or all of the members, which creates excessive optimism and encourages taking extreme risks. Rationalization. Collective efforts to rationalize in order to discount warnings which might lead the members to reconsider their assumptions before they recommit themselves to the past decisions. Morality. An unquestioned belief in the group's inherent morality, inclining the members to ignore the ethical or moral consequences of their decisions. Stereotyping. Stereotyped views of others as too evil to warrant genuine attempts to negotiate, or as too weak and stupid to counter whatever risky attempts are made to defeat their purposes. Pressure. Direct pressure on any member who expresses strong arguments against any of the group's stereotypes, illusions, or commitments, making clear that this type of dissent is contrary to what is expected of all loyal members. Self-censorship. Self-censorship of deviations from the apparent group consensus, reflecting each member's inclination to minimize to himself the importance of his doubts and counter-arguments. Unanimity. A shared illusion of unanimity concerning judgments conforming to the majority view, partly resulting from self-censorship of deviations augmented by the false assumptions that silence means consent. Mind guards. The emergence of self-appointed mind guards, members who protect their group from adverse information that might shatter their shared complacency about the effectiveness and morality of their decisions. In short, the group overestimates its ability, closed-mindedness is embraced, and pressures to conform are high. Janis acknowledged that reducing the risk of groupthink is difficult. Group cohesion is generally a positive thing. However, a collective lapse in rational thinking can have serious consequences. The solution in each specific case may be an it depends. Nonetheless, here are 3 tips. 1. Increase awareness of what groupthink is, plus how and why it can occur. 2. Encourage open discussions that include a critical analysis of problems and solutions. 3. Task one or more group members to ensure that multiple sides of problems and solutions are reviewed. The goal of knowledge management is to ensure that the right information is available and accessible to the right people at the right time. The strategic combination of people, process, technology, and data make this possible. Groupthink impedes this because it essentially freezes the current state of knowledge and blacks out anything new. No organization, regardless of size or industry, is immune. Everyone, from frontline workers to executive, could unknowingly participate in groupthink, which is why it can be so pervasive. I describe myself as a person with firm ideas that are loosely held. I firmly believe in what I say, but I am open to persuasion. Perhaps that prescription is the appropriate balance to ward off groupthink without risking a complete collapse of high-performing groups that think. Thank you for watching. I encourage you to provide feedback and participate in this conversation. Comment, subscribe, like, visit my website. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear other perspectives because knowledge is for everyone.